Hi everybody, so we're going to have a look at the second of Iago's soliloquies, which comes at the end of scene 1 in Act 2. Now in this soliloquy we again get the next sort of stepping stone in Iago's plot, and because he's speaking directly to us we gain a little bit more of information as to how he's going to carry out his plot. Now we are in Cyprus, which means that we've stepped beyond the social boundaries of Venice, and Iago in this instance is able to be as nasty as he likes, and his sort of manipulation becomes much stronger while he's in Cyprus, because we've moved beyond those social boundaries that we talked about as existing in Venice. Now let's have a read, and as I go through I'm going to annotate it because I know you've already read it. And we're going to look at how the characterization of Iago is further developed and how he pushes the plot along. So that Cassio loves her, I do well believe it. Okay, so he's trying to make us believe that actually Cassio does love Desdemona, which we know he does, but as a friend of Othello in particular, Cassio has a great respect for Desdemona, where he called her earlier my captain's captain. Okay, so that she loves him, 'tis apt and of great credit. So it's likely that she loves him back, and I can probably prove it. The more, howbeit, that I endure him not, is of a constant, loving, noble nature. So although I can't endure him, I really don't like him, I must admit he is of a constant, loving, noble nature. Okay, and you notice that the word noble comes up quite often, because one of the terms, and we're going to have a look at this later on, is the idea of the noble savage. Okay, and that sort of, it's a very derogatory term, but it's the way that they used to describe Moors that were of use to them. So he is a noble man, yet he's still being othered because he is that savage. Okay, and the word noble is brought up quite consistently when they talk about Othello, as honest is, ironically, with Iago. And I dare think he'll prove to Desdemona a most dear husband. He will be a good husband. Now, I do love her too, not out of absolute lust. Now, love is a very strange word for Iago to be using here, okay? He's basically saying that Desdemona is very good looking, but he changes the idea of love straight to lust, because he knows that love doesn't suit him. He's not one who can love easily, and so he lusts after her instead. Through peradventure, so perhaps I stand account for as great a sin. I do sin, because I do believe that I do lust for her, or I have lusted for her in the past. But mainly I'm using her, or that lust, to lead towards my diet of revenge. Now the word diet here is interesting, because we're using it not in the way we do in modern terms as if I'm dieting, but as in I'm feeding my revenge. Okay, it's that kind of that hunger that he has to really, really hurt the Moor. So for that I do suspect the lusty Moor, and here we've got these real sexual sort of connotations again, I do suspect the lusty Moor hath leapt into my seat. He's repeating that same sort of idea that Othello has slept with Amelia, although he himself earlier said it wasn't true. It's like he's repeating it so that he'll actually believe that it's true, and that becomes part of his motive. The thought whereof doth like a poisonous mineral, so we've got the simile here, like a poisonous drug, gnaw at my innards. Alright, so we've got personification and we've got simile being used there. Okay, in order to really give us that violent sort of imagery of him being eaten from the inside by his rage, by his hatred, by his need for revenge. Nothing can or shall content my soul. I am evened with him, wife for wife. He has slept with my wife, now I'm going to do something to his wife, or, my revenge must include Desdemona. Or failing so, yet that I put the Moor at least into a jealousy so strong that judgment cannot cure. I'm going to make him do something so bad through his own jealousy. I'm going to feed that jealousy so that no judgment can cure him. Okay, his own judgment is going to be completely skewed by the jealousy he's going to feel because of Iago's actions. Which thing to do? If this poor trash of Venice, he's talking about Rodrigo here, poor Rod, Oh, bless. Whom I trace or who I follow for his quick hunting, it's fun to play with him, it's fun to hunt. Stand the putting on, I'll have our Michael Cassio on the hip. So I'm going to get Cassio and I'm going to get Rodrigo to do exactly what I want. They'll be on my hip. Abuse him to the more in the rank garb. So I'm going to slander him, okay? Oh, actually, here, we've got this word over here. I'm going to slander Cassio to the more until the more thinks that he is a terrible sexual deviant. For I fear Cassio with my nightcap too. Make the Moor thank me, love me, reward me for making him egregiously an ass. Okay, so the Moor's going to thank Iago for proving that these guys have, or that Cassio has turned him into an ass. And here we've got that animalistic imagery again. Okay, always connected with the othering of Othello. Practising upon his peace and quiet even to madness. 'Tis here, but yet confused, knavery's plain face is never seen till used. Okay, so until I've actually played out my plot, nobody's going to know that I am the knave or the backstabber. Okay, and so we have that personification again here of the knave. The backstabber is having a plain face, and there's that plain face, the idea of the mask again. Remember the disguise sort of symbol that consistently comes up throughout. Iago eventually is going to show us his disguise, but until he does, he remains honest Iago. You have some work, I think, to do on that, and you're going to be having a look at how this furthers the plot along and the sort of ideas that you can gather from it in comparison to the first soliloquy that you looked at in Act 1. And notice too, sorry I forgot to mention, our rhyming couplet again, always at the end for that real gravitas, that here's my jealousy, here's my rage, and this is what I'm going to do with it. Okay.